Discover the incredible morning that transformed a simple woman's life with 3 touching surprises. Clara woke before dawn, the world outside her window still cloaked in a soft darkness. The clock blinked angrily at her 5 a.m. She pulled herself out of bed, a daily ritual she was all too familiar with. Today, however, felt different. Little did she know, the ordinary morning was about to turn extraordinary in ways she never imagined. The smell of coffee filled the air as she busily prepared breakfast. Her 2 children, Ellie and Max, slept soundly, blissfully unaware of her struggles. The weight of bills and responsibilities pressed heavy on Clara's heart. Could she do this? Did she matter, as both a mother and a nurse, with overflowing duties? Feeling lost in her thoughts, she glanced at the photograph on the fridge. A family outing from years ago. A bittersweet grin crept across her lips. If only they knew how hard she fought every day to keep their world intact as Clara ushered her kids into their clothes. The phone rang a shrill sound that sent her stomach into a tight knot. It was Doris, a beloved neighbor, on the line. Clara stiffened as the words poured through the receiver. "It's cancer, Clara. It's serious." Just like that, the air left her lungs. She had watched Doris care for her garden, a woman who never hesitated to lend a helping hand in the community. Now, she needed them all in that moment. Clara knew she couldn't stand idly by. Determined, she gathered the neighborhood for a candlelight vigil that evening. As she stood before her fellow neighbors, lanterns flickering in the cool night air, voice trembling, every word came from deep within her, a plea for hope, a rallying cry for support. Tears filled her eyes, reflecting the same emotion enveloping the crowd. But as the fundraiser came to a close, the goals were unmet. Clara felt like a failure, her heart sinking beneath the weight of disappointment. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as despair threatened to consume her, Clara found herself surrounded neighbors with arms full of support, laughter spreading through the air like the sweetest perfume. They had organized a surprise fundraiser for her. The room was alive as emotional stories of Clara's dedication unfolded, and laughter mixed with tears of gratitude. She stood, overwhelmed, wrestling with feelings of doubt and disbelief. Did she truly deserve this? Watching Max and Ellie beam with pride as they played in the corners, Clara's heart raced with a flurry of emotions. This was her community, built on years of connection, yet she hadn't noticed their quiet admiration before. Hope flickered in her chest, but so did the fear of losing herself in this newfound light. As the night wore on, she felt the undeniable pull of ambition mixed with the fear of abandoning her children. The warmth of their love filled her with promise and uncertainty. Could she embrace this moment, or would she retreat back into her familiar shadows? As final goodbyes to the evening were exchanged, Clara stood on the threshold of change, her heart pounding, ready to discover what path lay ahead. Would she take that leap of faith or slip back into the safety of the ordinary? Only time would tell. Clara lay in bed that night, her mind swirling. She could hardly sleep. Instead, the quiet of the house buzzed with echoes of laughter and warmth from earlier in the evening. Each giggle from Ellie and Max replayed in her head like a joyful melody. It felt good to be loved, to be supported. But with that warmth came a wave of uncertainty. Could she truly embrace this shift? What if she failed to rise to the occasion? Her heart raced as she thought about the expectations, her own dreams clashing with those of motherhood. The flickering streetlight outside cast shadows across the room, dancing across her face, mirroring the shadows of doubt looming in her mind. Morning arrived with a gentle sun, coaxing her awake. Clara sat up and rubbed her eyes, swallowing the remnants of sleep. A sense of urgency nudged at her. Today was the day to take the first steps into this new reality. She tiptoed into the kitchen to find Ellie and Max already munching on their cereal. "Morning, Mama. Max beamed, a splash of milk dripping from his chin. Morning, you too. Clara chuckled, pouring herself a cup of coffee. The familiar scent wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. Today, she needed that comfort. After breakfast, Clara took a moment to center herself. She opened her laptop, staring at a blank screen. What should she write for the fundraiser? Some part of her felt inadequate to capture the full extent of her feelings. It was overwhelming, the love, support, and the fear of Doris's illness. As her fingers hovered over the keyboard, a notification flashed on her screen. A message from Doris. Clara, I heard about last night. You have no idea how much that meant to me. Clara's heart swelled as she read the message. It was such a simple sentiment, but it ignited something inside her. She realized she didn't have to carry the weight of this journey alone. Doris was right. There was strength in community, in asking for help, and in rallying for something that mattered. She took a deep breath and began to type. Ideas flowed, words spilling onto the screen. Clara poured her heart out, detailing not just the challenges, but also the hope and love she had seen in her community. Each line became a declaration of determination, a commitment to not just help Doris, but to honor the connections that had been forged in the heart of their neighborhood. As she hit send, a wave of exhilaration washed over her. Maybe this was just the beginning. Clara stepped outside into the sun, feeling a renewed lightness of spirit. Her feet naturally led her towards the heart of the neighborhood, the park where so many memories had been made. It was time to rally and create a broader movement. The sweet scent of spring flowers ignited ideas in her head, each bud blooming like the potential of the days ahead. But as Clara reached the park, she noticed a gathering of people in whispers, their expressions a mix of concern and awe. Curious, she approached, her heart pounding. The murmurs grew louder, and something in her gut twisted uneasily. What was happening? What had she walked into? Clara, thank goodness you're here. A voice broke through the noise. It was Sandra, another neighbor, her eyes wide with urgency. What's going on? Clara asked, pressing through the crowd. All eyes turned to her, and she felt the weight of their hope pressing down. As Sandra unclenched her fists, Clara braced herself. This moment might hold yet another unexpected twist. What was about to unfold? Sandra took a deep breath, her voice trembling as she spoke. There's something happening in the community, and it's about Doris. It's serious. Clara's heart dropped. Panic clawed at her chest. She exchanged worried glances with the crowd, each face reflecting her own dread. What do you mean? Is she's at home, and she needs us, Sandra continued, eyes glistening with urgency. There's a fundraising event being planned right now, right here at the park. We can't wait any longer. We need to act. Clara's mind raced. The enormity of it all crashed over her like a wave. This wasn't just about writing a heartfelt message anymore. It was about mobilizing the entire neighborhood. What do you need from me? She managed to ask, her throat dry but a quiet resolve settling in. Your words sent out a ripple last night, Sandra said, settling her gaze on Clara. You sparked hope, and now everyone is eager to help. We need your voice at the center of this gathering. Can you lead us? Clara's instinct was to go small, to hide away, to let someone else take the charge. But she remembered the weight of those simple words from Doris. She took a breath and shook her head, feeling a flicker of strength bloom inside her. Yes, I'll do it. Let us organize this together. Cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of energy that pulled her in. Clara glanced around at the familiar faces, friends and neighbors ready to unite for someone in need. All right, Clara called out, raising her hand to quiet the group. Let's form committees for logistics, food, outreach. We need to get the word out immediately. Every word lit her fire, her voice strong as she felt the weight of the moment lift off her shoulders. Max and Ellie had joined her, their wide eyes searching for understanding. Mama, can we help too? Max asked, full of innocent enthusiasm. Of course. The more, the merrier. Clara smiled, her heart swelling as hope bloomed. She steered them towards the food committee, organizing snacks and drinks along with their friends. Clara took stock of what they would need and felt the power of collective effort. This was exactly what she hoped for and what she needed, the community lifting each other. With her at the helm, the day unfolded under the warm sun. Laughter and ideas filled the air. Clara caught glances of children playing, neighbors chatting, and the passion brewing around her. It churned within her, more than just responsibility. It was purpose. But soon, Sandra rushed back, urgency painted on her face. Clara, we just got news that Doris's condition worsened. The fundraiser needs to be set for tomorrow. The warmth of the day turned icy as Clara processed the gravity of the news. Tomorrow? In her heart, dread met determination. They couldn't lose hope. Not now. She glanced at her kids, then at her friends, then breathed deeply. All right, she said firmly, let us make this happen. We'll show Doris how much she means to us. As the crowd bustled to get things ready, a thought crept into her mind. Would they really be able to pull this off in such a short time? Would it be enough? The weight of responsibility pressed down once again as she went through the motions. But one question lingered: how could she channel this whirlwind of emotions into something that would resonate with everyone? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a beautiful glow over the park, Clara clenched her fist, a new resolve igniting within her. There was so much to do, and time was not on their side. But she could feel the heartbeat of the community pushing her forward. The night approached, but with it, the promise of something incredible unfurling. Could they really pull together for Doris? Would it be enough to bring hope back into her life? And as Clara stood amidst the laughter and determination, the meeting of sorrow and joy, she wondered what the dawn would bring. Clara woke before dawn, the light just beginning to creep into the sky. A bittersweet mix of anticipation and dread tangled in her stomach. Today was set to be monumental, but the weight of responsibility loomed over her like a shadow. As she quietly took stock of the supplies piled in her living room, her heart raced with the thought of Doris. She imagined her friend, fighting through pain, hoping against hope for a glimmer of brightness. Max and Ellie were still asleep, their soft breaths radiating a comforting innocence amid the chaos. Clara felt her resolve strengthen. This wasn't just a fundraiser. It was an expression of love, a celebration of the woman who had given so much to their community. She needed to be strong for Doris and for the children whose lives were intertwined with hers. After a quick breakfast, Clara made her way to the park. The crisp morning air carried the scent of dew-soaked grass, invigorating her spirit. It wouldn't be long before the venue would be buzzing with activity. As she arrived, she was met with the sight of friends already setting up tables, stringing colorful banners, and awe-inspiring handmade signs, all emblazoned with words of hope and encouragement for Doris. "Good morning, Clara," a voice chimed from her right. It was Linda, a neighbor and dear friend. "Look at this. The recreation center donated chairs and tables. They want to do everything they can to help." Clara felt a swell of gratitude as she surveyed the scene. Volunteers were arriving steadily, eager to lend a hand. Glancing around, she smiled, seeing neighbors from all walks of life uniting under one purpose. The fear that had gripped her the night before began to soften. Together they faced the tasks ahead. The food committee had laid out an impressive spread, friendly chatter filling the air like music. Clara felt a sense of belonging weave through her. This was their community supporting one another through thick and thin. "Have you thought about what you're going to say?" Sandra asked, carving a path toward Clara amid the bustling crowd. Clara swallowed hard. "Not really. I'm just worried it won't be enough." Sandra squeezed her shoulder, a gesture of encouragement. "You won't need fancy words. Just speak from the heart. That's what matters." Nervously, Clara nodded, taking a deep breath. She watched as more people began arriving, some clutching flowers, others bringing small tokens for Doris. Each person added to the mosaic of love they were creating, and Clara's heart surged with appreciation. As the sun climbed higher, Clara gathered everyone under the big oak tree at the center of the park. Heart pounding, she stepped forward to address the crowd. The warmth of their support wrapped around her like a security blanket. She took a moment, glancing down at her hands. They felt clammy, yet steady. Thank you all for being here today. Clara started, her voice cracking slightly. Doris means so much to all of us. She has been our guiding light in tougher times, and now it's our turn to be hers. As her words flowed, she felt the fear dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of purpose. She spoke of Doris's kindness, her willingness to help anyone in need. Clara could see nods of agreement and faces lighting up with shared memories. But an unexpected commotion cut through. There was a sudden flutter as a group of children rushed in, holding a giant card signed by the entire school, filled with hopeful messages for Doris. Clara's breath caught as she saw her children leading the way. Max held up the card with pride, his small face beaming. Look, Mama, we all drew pictures for Doris. Ellie chimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Tears brimmed Clara's eyes as the children presented the card to her. In that moment, Clara realized this wasn't just a fundraiser. It had transformed into a beacon of love, hope, and shared memories, far greater than what she had envisioned. But as she turned around, ready to share this moment with everyone, Clara found her voice faltering again. Could this truly reflect the depth of their feelings? Would it all reach Doris's heart? The warmth remained, but an inexplicable worry churned at her. Could they deliver on their promise of hope before it was too late? As the crowd began to cheer and prepare, Clara clenched the card tightly, determination igniting once more. Today would not just be a day for Doris. It could be the turning point for them all. What steps would they take next to ensure Doris knew she wasn't alone? Would the connections made today have the impact they hoped for? Clara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the crowd around her. Their smiles shone like the sun creeping higher in the sky, and it sparked something deep within her. She realized they weren't there just to support Doris. They were there to support each other, too. The bond they shared felt alive, palpable, and incredibly powerful. The card was heavy in her hands, a symbol of hope forged from all the love surrounding them. Clara looked at Max and Ellie, their eyes glued to her, anticipation bubbling in their little faces. She felt a wave of warmth flood her heart as she remembered their laughter, the countless shared moments. It was all for Doris, yes, but it was also for every person affected by her kindness. Okay, everyone, she said, a smile breaking through her initial nerves. Let us make some noise for Doris. She motioned to the crowd, ready to transform their energy into something unforgettable. Clara felt the air shift as cheers erupted, voices joined together, reaching new heights. It was beautiful chaos. The children jumped up and down, clapping their hands, caught in the thrill. Her heart raced along with them. Amidst the running legs and laughter, she could see Linda waving, holding vibrant balloons decorated with messages of love. The sight took Clara's breath away. Clara summoned every ounce of courage. Let us gather together, she shouted, gesturing for everyone to form a large circle under the oak tree. A living fortress of love and hope. The atmosphere shifted to one of warmth, creating a safe space where they could all contribute to Doris's fight. Together, we'll write our wishes for Doris, Clara continued, diving into a sea of pens and scrap paper that had been set aside for this very moment. She watched as laughter bubbled up and everyone began jotting down messages, voices mingling, sharing stories that echoed Doris's spirit. Max and Ellie, both excited by the idea, kneeling on the grass, shared a colorful crayon between them, an exquisite mess of scribbles and bubbles punctuated by the occasional giggle. Clara felt her own worries dissolve, the moment layered with laughter and joy. Look, Mama, I drew her with sunshine, Ellie announced proudly, holding up a bright, childlike rendering of their friend. Clara could hardly find her words as she leaned down to hug her girl, an overwhelming sense of love wrapping around her like a warm embrace. As the moments unfurled, Clara noticed Sandra passing around cookies and lemonade. Their fragrance danced through the air. Neighbors mingled, sharing stories of how Doris had been there for them in their darkest hours. Each story, a thread weaving them all together, painting a vibrant tapestry of unity that Clara had longed for in this community. Suddenly, something unusual caught Clara's eye. At the edge of the park, a familiar figure stood, cloaked in shadows. It was Doris's brother, Mark, who had been estranged from the family. His face mirrored regret and longing, eyes glistening as he watched everyone in the circle. Clara's heart skipped a beat. What was he doing here? An excited voice broke through her thoughts. Clara, we need your help. The urgency came from Linda, waving her over. Despite her racing thoughts, Clara couldn't ignore her friend. What's going on? Doris's favorite song? We were thinking about playing it, but we need a singer. Can you? Linda's eyes sparkled with hope, each word igniting Clara's uncertainty further. Could she? Would she? Just as Clara opened her mouth to respond, a hush fell over the crowd. They all turned to see Mark stepping forward, a tender smile curving his lips. He raised his hand, ready to speak, and Clara felt her heart race. What would he say? Would he bring healing or more pain? The park was filled with a collective inhale, all eyes on him. Clara stood frozen, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She realized that perhaps today was meant to stretch beyond her initial worries and into something monumental. What words were waiting inside him, and how would they change everything? Clara felt a rush of anticipation. Mark stepped forward, the shadows peeling away as if the sun itself conspired to shine a light on his weary face. Clara could see the struggle in his eyes, years of distance, mingled with a desperate hope to reconnect. Her breath hitched in her throat. Would he speak of regret? Or would he bring the scars of their past into the day? Hey everyone, he began, his voice steady, though Clara could hear the tremor beneath it. I know I've been absent for too long, but I couldn't stay away today. A ripple of murmurs coursed through the crowd, an undercurrent of curiosity and disbelief. I'm here because of Doris, he said, the warmth in the atmosphere pulling them all closer. She's the one person who always opened her heart, no matter what. And I've been a fool not to appreciate her love. Clara swallowed hard. Every eye was glued to him, and she felt the weight of their collective thoughts hovering in the air. Her instinct was to look away, to avoid the swell of mixed emotions, but she couldn't. Those words were too raw, too important. Doris deserves everything she gives to others, Mark continued, his voice increasingly confident. And today, I want to show her that I'm ready to fight by her side, wherever that may lead. A soft gasp escaped from the crowd. Clara's heart stirred. Could this be a true turning point, not only for Doris but for Mark and the family fractured by old wounds? Clara. Mark turned his gaze to her, the sincerity present in his brightening expression. I've heard about all the incredible things you've done for her. I admire your strength. She felt the blush creep up her cheeks. The acknowledgement made her chest swell with pride, but it was mixed with confusion about how to feel towards him. Could you help me honor her? Mark asked, vulnerability tucked into his words, a plea for connection. I want to sing her favorite song. It's time for me to be part of this family again. The crowd buzzed around them, the energy electrifying. Clara noticed Linda's eyes beaming with excitement, and she quickly began organizing the setup for a small makeshift stage by the tree, a gathering for community and music. Let us do it, Clara said, taking a step forward, driven by a mix of adrenaline and hope. It was a vulnerable step not just for Mark but for her. Mark smiled, relief washing over him as he joined Clara and Linda in preparing. They rummaged through the scattered notes and balloons, working side by side. Clara's heart beat faster. This could be a new chapter for Doris, a new chapter for Mark as they set up. Clara couldn't help but glance back at the crowd. Their excitement was palpable, a mix of confusion and encouragement washing through those familiar faces. What would happen next? Would Mark's voice bridge the gap between the past and the present? Just then, as Mark placed his hands on the guitar, a hush fell. The soothing chords floated into the air, weaving through the crowd. One by one, faces lit up, drawn in by the sweet nostalgia of the song. Then Clara caught something out of the corner of her eye, the glimmer of unshed tears in Linda's eyes. But there were smiles too, and Clara felt hope radiate amongst the crowd, resonating like a heartbeat. She looked at Max and Ellie, their faces alight with wonder, innocence woven together with authentic support, and Mark, although still undeniably distant, had begun to bridge that gap. He was singing not just for Doris, but for every one of them. As the notes danced through the air, Clara's heart soared. But just as the final chord echoed and applause erupted, the smile on Clara's face slipped. From the back of the crowd, a voice rose, clear and sudden, cutting through the celebration. "You can't bring her back, Mark." It was Doris's mother, Evelyn, her tone filled with pain and regret that filled the atmosphere like a balloon bursting. Clara's heart sank. Would this change everything? What would this emotional confrontation mean for the fragile ties being formed? Clara felt the unease in her chest as the spotlight shifted once again. A thick silence spread across the gathering like fog. Evelyn's sharp words hung in the air, slicing through the warmth that had just built up with Mark's song. The crowd shifted uneasily, some muffling gasps, others whispering among themselves. Clara felt every eye flick to Mark, some showing support, some reflecting Evelyn's anguish. Mark's fingers faltered on the guitar strings, the last note lingering like an echo of discontent. Heavy with disbelief and sadness, he finally looked up, meeting Evelyn's fierce gaze. "I'm not trying to bring anyone back," he said, his voice low but steady, like the calm before a storm. "I'm just trying to honor Doris, to be here for what she means to us all." "But it's too late for that," Evelyn replied, her voice cracking like ice. "She needed you when she was here. Not now, not in this moment of remembrance." A collective murmur rippled through the crowd, taking a shape of its own, confusion and sympathy mixing with anger. Clara's heart raced. She knew the hurt of loss. All of Doris's family did. But she also understood Mark's fight. He stood there, vulnerable, attempting to thread a new narrative, one that could include everyone, particularly Olivia. Clara interjected gently, taking a step forward. "We all miss her. We feel the void just as much as you do. But Mark is trying to mend things. Doris would have wanted us, the whole family, together." A flicker of surprise passed through Evelyn's eyes. Clara hoped her words would sink in, reveal a fracture in the armor built over years of disappointment. "This isn't about how we feel. It's about how we can honor her memory now. So you're just going to ignore everything he did?" Evelyn shot back, anger simmering just beneath her surface. "He vanished when she needed him. Do you really think a song will fix it, Clara?" Clara felt the heat rising in her cheeks as she opened her mouth to respond, grappling for the right words. "I believe it can be a start." Mark's face was a mix of hopes and fears, reflecting all they were fighting for. Clara could feel him beside her, his presence a quiet reassurance that they could weather this storm together. "Maybe it's okay that it's hard," he added, turning slightly to face Evelyn. "Maybe it's okay that we're all standing here, feeling angry, sad, and confused. Doris loved us all. Isn't it worth trying to figure this out? Even if it's messy?" Evelyn stood motionless, her expression wavering. Clara caught a glimpse of something softer beneath the surface anger, but it was quickly masked. "You're right about one thing. She loved us all. But love isn't enough when it's mixed with abandonment." Tension coiled tighter around them, and Clara felt the eyes of the crowd shifting, waiting for someone to break the standstill. Mark took a deep breath, drawing every ounce of courage he could muster. "Every day since she left, I've regretted not being there. I can't undo the past, Evelyn. I can't bring her back. But I want to try again for you and for her." A deep breath caught in Evelyn's throat, her expression now a tumult of emotions. Pain, anger, and just a hint of understanding. But Clara also felt the churning tension of the crowd, the heaviness threading its way between them as they waited, breath held, for a sign of resolution. Could this confrontation lead to something healing? Or would it split the family apart again, just when they were beginning to rediscover what they had lost? "Let us talk," Evelyn finally said, the words tentative but full of unspoken hope. The crowd stirred. Murmurs turned into whispers. Excitement could hardly contain. Mark nodded, renewed determination etched on his face. Clara felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. Where would this new conversation take them? Would it lay the foundation for healing, or would it unearth more buried wounds? With the sun setting behind them, washing everything in a golden hue, Clara felt the weight of what was to come. She closed her eyes momentarily, hoping that this wouldn't be the end of a fragile peace, but the beginning of something stronger as they turned to face Doris's memory again. Clara wondered what new twists lay ahead. Would the upcoming conversation reveal the truths that needed to be faced, or redefine the future they could build together? Mark's heart beat faster as he prepared to follow Evelyn to the edge of the gathering, where the air felt thicker and heavier, laden with unresolved pain. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that wrapped around them, as if even the day itself was holding its breath. Evelyn found a quiet corner near the old oak tree, its gnarly branches swaying gently in the evening breeze. The crowd parted, creating a small space filled with tension, and Clara felt every gaze on her back as she joined them. The whispers faded, leaving only the rustling leaves adding to the weight of the moment. "Why now?" Evelyn asked, her voice as sharp as glass. "Why would you choose this moment to play that song? You could have just shown up, paid your respects quietly, but you had to make a scene." Her frustration wove through her words, slicing at the fragile atmosphere. I thought it might bring us all together," Mark replied, his hands still trembling from the weight of the guitar. "I miss her, Evelyn. I thought sharing that song would help us remember her, to feel connected again." Evelyn shook her head, as if trying to physically rid herself of the memories that were flooding back. "Connected? You think a few chords can bridge that chasm you created? You left us when we needed you most, Mark. It's not that simple." Mark felt his chest tighten. "I know it's not. I know I messed up. But can you at least let me try to make it right? Let us all try?" Clara sensed the moment grow more complex, emotions swirling like a tempest. She stepped forward again, knowing this was bigger than just Mark's apologies. We all cared for Doris differently. We all had our own ways of loving her, even if it didn't look the same. We're not perfect, but maybe we can move past our hurt. Evelyn's eyes darted away. Clara could tell she was trying to wrestle with the contradictions in her heart. "You don't understand," she said finally. "You didn't live through the nights when she cried for you, when you being gone felt like a wound we couldn't heal. Love isn't enough if it isn't present, if it isn't shown." There it was, the threshold they were standing on, love so fierce that it could either break them further apart or pull them toward healing. Clara felt a jolt of something deep inside her. Doris would want us to talk it through, to find a way. She believed in second chances. Maybe this is ours. Evelyn's face softened for a fleeting moment, her defenses wavering. Second chances? Are you really ready to face everything that comes with that? The question lingered in the air, met with the weight of shared pain and guilt, each heart asking if they had the strength for it. Suddenly, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting everything into twilight, as if urging them to confront what had been unspoken for too long. Mark drew in a shaky breath. "I want to face it, Evelyn. I want to own my part. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I want to know what you need from me." The crowd held its breath, Clara feeling the tension escalate. She caught sight of familiar faces, each carrying their burdens, their silent pleas for reconciliation. Could they venture forward together? As tears glistened in Evelyn's eyes, she edged closer to a response. Mark extended a hand, trembling but hopeful. Would she accept it, or would this confrontation push them all into deeper darkness? Clara's heart raced as the night air thickened with anticipation. She wanted to know where this path would lead, but feared the unknown that loomed ahead. Would they finally unveil the truth, or would it descend into chaos once more? The flicker of hope hung in the balance, waiting for just one word to tip the scales. Evelyn's breath hitched, caught somewhere between anger and longing. She looked at Mark's outstretched hand, her body tense as if bracing for impact. The fading daylight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows across the ground, painting a picture of both hope and doubt. "Do you really think you can just show up and fix this?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. The crowd around them held a collective breath, suspended in that moment. Mark's eyes searched Evelyn's, desperate and earnest. "I don't expect to fix anything overnight," he admitted. "But I need you to understand how deeply sorry I am. I failed you all. I failed Doris. I didn't realize the hurt I was causing until now. Evelyn recoiled slightly, her shoulders square as she stood her ground. Sorry doesn't change the past, Mark. It doesn't erase the nights we spent wondering if you'd ever return. Or if you even cared enough to try. Clara felt a knot tighten in her own throat. The weight of loss hung heavy around them, tangible and suffocating. We can't erase the past, she interjected softly. But we can choose to honor Doris together. To heal collectively. There are angels that walk among us. A voice from the crowd suddenly broke through the tension. It was Mrs. Thompson, an older neighbor who had known Doris for years. Sometimes all we need is to speak our truth. We can release the pain together, share the love we have left. A murmur ran through the small gathering. Others echoed Mrs. Thompson's sentiment. Clara glanced around, noticing one by one, faces softened. Perhaps they lingered on a thread of hope. Couldn't we just talk? About Doris, about everything? Clara ventured, feeling emboldened by the unexpected shift in the atmosphere. Mark nodded, encouraged. We could share memories. All the things she meant to each of us. Maybe through that we'll see that love is still there. It never went away. It just got lost in the silence. Evelyn shifted slightly, her hard exterior starting to crack under the light of shared memories. Is that how this works? We just pretend everything's fine and reminisce until we feel better? It's not pretending, Mark replied gently. It's recognizing. It's remembering the good while also acknowledging the pain. Doris would never want us to carry this hurt forever. She believed in forgiveness. The crowd began to nod slowly, encouraging Evelyn to consider their ideas. Clara stepped closer, sensing an opening. Doris had this incredible way of bringing people together. We all remember the laughter, the love. What if we could find that in each other again? Evelyn's gaze softened slightly as the idea settled in. Slowly, she reached out and took Mark's hand, her grip tentative. You better mean it. I do, Evelyn. I promise, he said, his voice warm and sincere. The crowd shifted, a fresh breeze washing over them like a cleansing tide. Clara watched, heart swelling with hope. Would this fragile connection be enough to weave the threads of a family back together? Let us gather around the tree, in honor of Doris, Mrs. Thompson suggested, her eyes sparkling with warmth. We can share stories, moments that made us laugh, cry, and everything in between. Let us honor her the way she deserves. Clara looked back at Evelyn and Mark, this newfound alliance standing at the precipice of something beautiful. A soft light began to break through the clouds above, illuminating their fragile gathering. As they made their way closer to the oak, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that today could be a turning point. What if this is the moment we finally let each other in? She thought. Yet, as they settled down, Clara noticed something in Evelyn's expression, a shadow of doubt creeping back in. What pieces of the past were still too painful to confront? Would they truly open their hearts? Or would the weight of their secrets hold them back yet again? Clara gathered beside the oak tree, heart thrumming with anticipation and hope. Around her, friends and neighbors nestled close, creating an atmosphere of belonging that enveloped them like the warm embrace of a soft blanket. As they settled in, Clara felt a surge of excitement and fear combined. Would they truly honor Doris today? Would it ease the pain that had lingered for too long? Evelyn took a deep breath, centering herself before speaking. I didn't want to share my pain with you all because I thought it would break us apart. But now I see that it's not the way. Looking around, her eyes connected with various faces, familiar figures that mattered deeply. Doris loved everyone in this room, just as we are all bound by that love. We are family. Mark nodded encouragingly. Let us share stories. Let us remember her together. Clara's heart leaped. She watched as people began to take turns, recounting their favorite memories of Doris, the way her laughter brightened any room, how she would bake cookies for the kids, their Friday movie nights in the park. Each story wove a thread of connection, a tapestry of shared experiences anchored in love. Clara listened, tears pooling in her eyes, as she caught glimpses of Doris's spirit shining through the laughter and stories. It was healing a balm for the wounds that had festered for too long. The mood began to shift. Laughter mingled freely with tears. Clara felt more connected to her neighbors than ever before. Every story shared reminded them of the essence that made Doris who she was. But then, as the stories flowed, Evelyn broke into sobs. Mark instinctively shifted closer, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "It's okay," he murmured, "let it out." The crowd sat in solidarity, their hearts echoing Evelyn's pain. Doris's absence created a gaping hole painted in shades of regret, fear, and confusion. But Clara sensed something else beginning to unfold, an unspoken understanding glimmering in the collective silence that followed. Evelyn dried her tears and lifted her chin, a newfound determination in her eyes. "Doris wouldn't want us to carry this hurt. She would want us standing together, celebrating the lives we've intertwined." Evelyn turned and looked at Mark directly, her voice steady and clear. "I see the man you're trying to be. It's time to rebuild what we lost. I want to talk about it all." Mark's eyes brightened, a flicker of hope igniting within him. "Together we can do it, Evelyn. For Doris. I want to be part of this family." The crowd erupted with whispers of encouragement, hearts swelling with renewed hope. Clara felt the air shift, tangible and vibrant as a wave of warmth spread through the gathering. Together, they could forge a new narrative based on shared love and understanding. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over their circle, Clara's heart thundered. What if this is the beginning of something beautiful? She whispered to herself, exhilaration rushing in. They had begun to unravel the threads of grief and confusion, connecting at a level deeper than before. With smiles breaking through the tears, Clara stood taller, telling her story. "Just last night I felt lost. But look around, this is our strength. Our community gathered here, every single one of us, to honor Doris and to heal together." An affirmation rippled through the crowd, small bursts of applause flaring up. They were a united front, standing strong against the weight of their struggles. Mark and Evelyn stood together, arms locked, a beacon of hope for every heart present. Clara glanced at Ellie and Max, their eyes sparkling with joy. "Mama, can we dance?" Ellie chirped, her little spirit bursting with excitement. Clara grinned, heart full. "Yes, let us celebrate." She knew that while the pain of loss would always linger, so would the love that united them. As music began to swell from a nearby speaker, Clara joined her children, twirling with them under the vast sky, laughter ringing out like a fresh promise. People joined in, facing fears and heartbreak in the embrace of shared joy. The dance transformed. The park, filled with laughter, unity, and healing. Clara looked around, tears of joy streaming down her face. She recognized the transformation not just for herself but for everyone around her. This was their moment, a celebration of life, love, and the incredible bond that tied them together, echoing even Doris's laughter. The shadows faded, the light enveloping them in optimism and renewal. As night descended and stars began to sparkle overhead, Clara leaned back against the oak tree, surrounded by her community, her heart brimming with hope. She understood now that it wasn't about erasing the past but about building a future filled with love, compassion, and resilience. And here, under the starlit sky, surrounded by laughter and new beginnings, Clara realized. Extraordinary transformation often starts with simple acts of love. If you found inspiration in this story, this is your moment to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories that uplift and inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help these powerful messages reach more hearts. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.